Australia. The year is 2050. Australia's population has grown from 22 to 35 million. Almost half this growth has occurred in Northern Australia. Where once there was isolation, there is now an extensive polyethnic network of urban centres throughout the region. The standard of living for all Australians is equitable and prospering. The North has become a regional economic powerhouse, driven by closer ties with neighbouring Asian countries. Indigenous culture is now integral to its development. An agricultural Silicon Valley revolution is taking place. Why and how did this happen? To answer these questions, we must scroll back to earlier in the 21st century. In 2013, Australia was experiencing an imbalance in population distribution. Only 3% of Australians lived in Northern Australia, half the number of Australians living overseas. The population of the world was growing. The global demand for food was set to double in the next 50 years. Climate change was threatening water security and established methods of agriculture. The era was described as the Asian century. Asia's developing nations were emerging as global economic powers. In response to these pressures, the Australian government committed to creating a new northern capital, one that would function in parallel with the established southern capital. A capital driven by resilience, a capital that would oversee and inspire development throughout Australia's north, a capital that links Australia to our northern neighbours, a capital that improves the well-being of all Australians. An analysis of Northern Australia was undertaken to find a site for the new capital. A site on the shores of Lake Argyle was chosen as the prime location for establishing the city. It shared many of the attributes considered in the settlement of Canberra. The site had an abundance of fresh water, was relatively undisturbed and thereby unencumbered by the template of an existing settlement. There was access to substantial agricultural land to feed the future inhabitants of the city. It was inland for strategic defence but had access to an existing port, and offered a cooling microclimate created by the predominant crosswinds across the vast lake. The site was stunningly picturesque, showcasing Northern Australia's natural beauty. It had suitable topography for the creation of a substantial urban centre. A geometric relationship to Canberra's original design symbolically binds the two capitals. An extension of Griffin's water access through Capitol Hill and across Australia links Canberra directly to Lake Argyle's catchment area. As the city grew, 3 administrative federal bodies were established that helped lead Australia into a great era of prosperity. The Federal Centre of Asian Century Development was born and served as a geographical link from the resource-rich north to a network of Asian urban centres, encouraging Asian cooperation and investment. As Asian tourism became an emerging growth market, the centre facilitated the extraordinary influx of tourists to Australia's stunning north. The Ministry for Northern Development was created to administer the advancement of the North and involve extensive Indigenous participation in the region's growth. The Ministry combined Indigenous influences and sustainability principles in the design of the new capital and other northern centres, delivering a uniquely Australian and resilient urban perspective. The Office of Cultural Development was established around the creation of an International Indigenous Learning Centre. This led to the retention and elevation of Australian Indigenous culture through improved knowledge and understanding. The Office also advanced Australia's Asian cultural acumen, creating stronger bonds with our regional neighbours. Australia's northern capital developed as a world leader in agricultural research and practices, utilising 3 scales of food production. First and most revolutionary, used urban agricultural techniques such as vertical farming. It also expanded the potential of the Ord River scheme. And thirdly, it incorporated indigenous knowledge in wilderness gathering and bush food production. The city also emerged as a centre for water and renewable energy distribution, delivering water to surrounding regions and supplying Australasia with renewable power via European-style supergrid. The expansion of the region's population provided logistics support for resource development in manufacturing and servicing, fueling the economic boom. National defence played a role in the city's development as a logical choice for bolstering military presence in the north. The northern capital became a major tourist gateway to the stunning Kimberley by road, rail and air. The city itself an attraction, showcasing sustainable architecture and innovative development based on natural processes and biomimicry principles. Situated on the picturesque banks of Lake Argyll, the city is known as a lifestyle city, affording a wealth of recreation opportunities. The vast lake, now an aquatic playground, the city a vibrant hub of culture, and the rugged Kimberley beckoning on its doorstep. Now Australia's northern capital has become an inspiration. An inspiration for sustainability. An inspiration for multiculturalism. An inspiration for post-colonialism. An inspiration for economic resilience. An inspiration for all Australians. And an inspiration for the world.